There we go. Well, I'd like to welcome everybody today to Fireside Chat with Debbie Marks. And today you can tell my backdrop is a little different. Well, I'm vacationing for 2 weeks down in North Carolina with my daughter at her home, and she brought me her camper, and it's parked in the driveway. And it's my little cabin, and I got to tell you, I love it. It's given me such peace, and that I don't know why I never thought of this before, but she's been very gracious. She keeps asking me, "Are you sure you're okay out there?" I said, "I am fantastic. So I don't worry about it at all." And so to move on, today I am interviewing Kathy Mila. And I met Kathy when we did a master class for a week with Wendy and Brendan. And so I thought Kathy has such an interesting story. I wanted to share it with everyone. For those of you that are going to listen on the recording, I welcome you. Thank you for watching the recording. And Kathy Mila is a dream resurrector. I almost didn't say that right. She breathes life into dreams by showing women leaders how to resurrect their dreams, regain their sense of purpose, be more cheerful in their career, and find balance in their life, all without sacrificing their well-being. I like this. She is a mom of 4, me too, me 4, granny of 7, I have 9, and a great granny of 1. I'm not there yet, and I'm not rushing it. And she has firsthand experience of living life, doing everything for everyone, and constantly putting herself on the back burner. Her mission is to empower 3,000 female business leaders to know their true value and believe in their own responsibilities through collaboration, connection, and contribution. Throughout her 45-year career in the medical community, Kathy breathed life into thousands of babies through the physical act of PPV. Now, I've never heard of this. Positive pressure ventilation. Now, she breathes life into your dreams with a different type of PPV. And I love this. Passion, power, and vision. So, Kathy, I'd like to welcome you today. And I'm so excited to learn more about you. And so let's start off with what is your backstory? Where did you come from?
Outer space. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, one of my daughters used to say that when she was a kid, that she was from another planet. Yeah, that's another story for another day. So first of all, thank you, Debbie, for having me on here. Thank you for welcoming me to your community. I'm excited to be here and to share, a little bit about me and my thoughts, and support your community in any way that I can, because I do believe that it's so important for us women to step into what I call our greatness. We all have greatness inside. So did I believe that? Have I always believed that? Absolutely not. I mean, there was years, decades of my life, I did not believe that I had any greatness within me. I raised 4 kids pretty much by myself. I'm a single mom, and I was a single mom. It started when my son was still inside of me. And that's when my marriage dissolved and I became a single parent and didn't have the support that I desired and needed. And, that's, again, that's another story. I walked through a lot of things, feeling really angry, frustrated, bitter, and I wound up protecting my heart. What I thought was protecting my heart with that anger, with that frustration, with that bitterness, and it showed up as kind of manipulation and control and intimidation in especially my job. And so my backstory, that's my backstory as a single mom, and kind of how I got to this place of walking around feeling really angry and frustrated and not knowing what to do with my feelings and emotions. Because I was taught, you're not supposed to feel that stuff. You're supposed to kind of stuff it, don't really feel what you're feeling. And when my marriage dissolved, I felt so many feelings. Again, anger, frustration. I felt shame. I felt guilty. I felt like it was my responsibility. I wasn't good enough wife. And so I dove into two things. I dove into my children, making sure they were fed and clothed and taken care of and brought up to the best of my ability. And then breathing babies. I became a nurse before I even married. And I always wanted to be a nurse practitioner. And when my kids were fairly young, in their early teens, and my son was 7, I went back to school to become a nurse practitioner. And the difference between a bedside nurse and a nurse practitioner, a bedside nurse actually gives the care to the babies. And as a nurse practitioner, I worked alongside physicians to direct the care, to decide the care. And sometimes that involved physically breathing life into these babies. The PPV is positive pressure ventilation, where birth is a beautiful thing. It's magical. It's a magical experience most of the time, like 90% of the time. There's a small percentage of the time where babies are born in trouble. And that's when me and my team would come into play, that we would come, be called emergently to a delivery room or in the intensive care unit to resuscitate a baby and bring them back to life and breathe for them. And it involved things like putting a tube down into their airway, and that's where the positive pressure ventilation, it's actually taking a thing called an ambu bag, putting a mask or a tube down their airway and breathing life into their lungs so that they could stay alive. And we did that. That's an initial thing before you can put them on a ventilator. Many of you have seen in movies or shows where people or babies are on ventilators. And so that initial thing before they get there is you have to resuscitate them. And so that's what I did. And so I dove into my career in breathing life into those babies. And yet I definitely, although I loved my job and I loved caring for those babies, I was feeling out of alignment inside. And I didn't know that's how I felt, because a lot of times in life, I just went through the motions. I just trudged through life. I really didn't know who I was. I was showing up with all the beliefs and the patterns that I brought with me from a young age, because I was taught that I should do this, or I was supposed to do this, or I have to do this. Those feelings of the shoulds or the supposed to's or the have to's are how the majority of us live life. Well, I'm supposed to go to this party that my friend invited me to, even though I don't feel like it. No, you don't have to, so it's just unpacking some of that and then finding the true us. And we can get to that in a moment, but that's really like my backstory. My backstory is single mom, wore it as a badge of honor. Oh yeah, I use that as like a victim. Oh, I'm a single mom. That was my excuse for everything. I'm a single mom. And then I took it to a different level at work. I was very competent and proficient and professional at work, but boy, I could be a little bit of a bitch on wheels sometimes. And, sometimes I actually think there was a part of me that enjoyed intimidating other people, because often I felt intimidated. And really, is that the way I wanted to show up? I got to a point where I was evaluating that. So that's my backstory. Doesn't always feel good to tell that story. And yet, the truth is the truth. That's where I came from.
Well, it's always the thing. The truth is the truth. Accept it, because that's the way it is. And I'm actually in awe of what your backstory is, because I really didn't know any of that. And so I think to myself, how many women out there in the world are just like you and have the same feelings? They don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. And so I'm hoping and encouraging those of you that are going to watch the recording, if you know of someone that might benefit from Kathy, please share it with them, because what goes around that you do for somebody else will come back for you. So moving on. Um, so all of that is amazing, but what is your aha moment? You had to have one. Well, maybe many.
Actually many, and yet, we're not going to talk about all of them. I think the most important thing that I want to share today, one of the biggest aha moments, was this giving myself permission to dream. For many years, many decades of my life, when I like to, take you back to when you're a kid and when you play and imagine. I can think back to those times, like those 3 to 7 year old moments when you were outside playing or even inside, whatever you were doing. What were you doing when you imagined and played and had fun? What were you doing? And then, we grow up and we're taught that. Again, I'm not, this isn't to shame anyone. It's what the whole world is taught. You got to grow up, get a job, get to school, get a job, do your thing. Like you got to do the adulting. My son calls it the adulting, and so I thought I really believed that there wasn't supposed to be kind of dreams. Now my dad was kind of a dreamer, so I saw a lot of him trying to dream and do his thing, and yet I could hear the family not necessarily talking well about that. Like, he always had a job, and yet he was looking for something. And so it wasn't bad. It wasn't looked on fondly to be a dreamer. So get it together and be the adult and do your job and support your family and do the thing. This is what we're all taught. And so we kind of lose that ability to dream. When I was in college, I would sit outside and look at clouds and stuff. I didn't do that for years, look at any clouds. I didn't look around at my surroundings. I didn't know I could dream. The most I dreamt was, when the kids were going to have a summer vacation, or, when is the next, when's winter break? Like, what are we doing there? I didn't dream for me. I didn't know I was allowed to dream. And I ran across somebody that said that, gave me that insight, as I started this personal and professional growth journey, is what I call it, my growth journey. Someone asked me that question, like, what is your why? What is your dream? What is your dream? What do you think about when I say that? What is your dream? Have one? I didn't have a dream. I thought, dream? I'm an adult. I don't dream. I'm not supposed to dream. This is what I do. And I realized in that moment, oh, I could dream. I could play with that. I could have a dream. So I started giving myself permission to dream. And that really, I believe, is like the biggest, like the first of many aha moments of allowing myself and giving myself that permission to dream.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, so many times you have people that get married and believe that they're supposed to be just like their parents. The parents are the example of what, get a job, support the family, bring home the bread and butter. And the wife is just supposed to be the housewife doing everything like that. And it's not that way anymore. I mean, really, unfortunately, um, you know, I'm 68 years old and I'm dreaming. I'm dreaming now, and nobody better get in my way, because that's it. That's it. I am not going to go to my deathbed and not have done what I want to do. And that kind of goes along with everything you're saying. So with that, what breaks your heart about your industry? I mean, because that's really hard.
Yeah. And I think this is what I'm going to share with you is, I speak about the medical community, the healthcare system. And I do believe that what I'm going to say to you can be applied to any industry, because we see it pretty rampant in our world. And, thank you, Sally, for your comments. I'm glad it hits home with you, because I am the same age as Debbie. I'm 68 years young. I don't say 68 years old. And I'm like, so change that word out, Debbie.
I got you.
And this is true. Like, we're never too old. We're not dead yet. Like, what is it we want to do in our lives? I don't care whether you're, 20 or 30 or 40 or 50, like, it doesn't matter your age. Like, what is your mindset around that? So what breaks my heart about the industry, and I'm speaking about healthcare, and yet you can apply it anywhere, is what I call the win-lose model. It's pretty much what, what a lot of all over the world, this model is in place. We're starting to see some businesses switch it, but what the win-lose model is, that in order for me to win, whether it's to win with getting customers or making money or whatever the win is to me, somebody's got to lose here. So who's going to lose? And I got to pick and choose who's going to lose, because I'm going to win. And when I started learning more about the win-win model and seeing companies institute that, companies, like I'll throw like Apple. I don't know much about Apple. I'm not an Apple user. And yet you look at the company design, you look at some of the things in there, they're promoting things for their employees and their customers, and so that they have a gain as well. Like that's a win-win-win. If their employees have a place to work out or have a rest time or have a meditation room, wow, how cool is that? Then they give better service to their clients, and their clients win, and then they make money. That's the win-win model. Like everybody wins. Somebody doesn't have to lose. And in healthcare for so long, and things are shifting all the time there. And I still, keep in touch with some things a little, and it's, it's shifting maybe a little. And sometimes I'm not sure it's shifting in the right direction, in what I call the right direction, the good direction, into a win-win model. And what I've seen so much there is that sometimes there's a lot of talk about the well-being of patients, the well-being of their providers, and yet not every place has that in mind. We see a little bit. So the one example I'll give you is like doctors, like interns and residents, like the physicians I worked with. They worked crazy stuff. My granddaughter's watching Grey's Anatomy there. They worked 24, 36, sometimes 48-hour shifts when they were interns and residents. That's crazy. You now see interns and residents who they have a limit on their time. So they're starting to realize that's not really the best way. It's not really a win-win. And I worked crazy shifts too. We worked 24 hours in-house on call. I would arrive at some of the hospitals at 9 a.m. and was supposed to leave at 9 a.m. That's when the next person came the next day. That usually it was not 9 a.m. So it was closer to 25 hours. It was 9:30, 10. If you got everything done and you could get out of there. And we had a call room. People go, well, did you have a bed? Yeah, we had a bed. If you got to sleep in it, if you got to lay in it for a little while, some nights were great, some days not. So, it's like, and so when I talk about this, putting myself on the back burner, not standing up for what I know I needed, was to be able to have somebody there to relieve me so I could eat, so I could go to the bathroom, so I could maybe rest and not be up for 24 hours straight. It's a wear and tear on the body. So I see these things still not exactly like what I did, but still going on, that this is the expectation. Well, you've done it for all this time, keep doing it. And again, it's everywhere. Look around. What is going on in every industry that looks like a win-lose model? We can change that. We can change where the employees can be well taken care of. Then they're happier. Then they're giving better service to their customers. And then when you get satisfied customers, you make more money. Like it just makes logical sense. And yet that's what breaks my heart. I could probably talk about it forever, about what I see going on in so many industries. I could give so many examples. You probably have examples recently in your life. I can look at them and say, that's a win-lose model. How do I show up each day to change this mindset? It starts with our minds, about that it's possible to have a win-win model in everything. And then what does that look like, one step at a time? So that's what breaks my heart about the industry, about the world, really.
Well, and you're right, because I can sit here and think about before I would, I could clean the house, do the laundry, and cook meal on a Friday and get it all done with no help. And days like that would just constantly run over into each other, where, a housewife never has a break. And I can relate to that very much so.
Yeah, I
And
have people, sorry, I have people that say to me, how did you do it when your kids were young? Or I'll go to someone's house and they go, oh, excuse my mess. There's no judgment here. My house was always, there was laundry on the couch. There was stuff everywhere always, because not only did I work 40, 50, 60 hours a week, I was responsible to take care of the house. And that's, a lot of women have that, whether they're married or not,
yeah, yeah.
where they take all of that on and they sacrifice their well-being to get all of that done.
And on a side note, from experience, I just woke up one day and I said, I'm going to get a part-time job. I am not. I got to get out of here. And I can remember I would go to work in the afternoon after the kids would come home from school. I'd leave them chores and I'd walk in that door at night. They were all still up. Dad was in bed. The dishes, I mean, and so it's like, so why did I go away? I still have to come home and do the housework. And it was like that from that point on. And I just had to learn to accept it. But the other thing you were talking about was that the company that I work for, I've had many opportunities of seeing headquarters. And as you were naming them off, I'm thinking, oh yes, Melaleuca has that for the employees. And they, exercise, downtime, places to eat. I mean, it was amazing to me. And in turn, they offer the great customer service I have ever experienced within a company. I mean, it's amazing. So sorry, I got off on that. But why do you feel this message that you have is so important? Because I mean, I'm already getting a sense of how important it is to me. So can you kind of elaborate on that?
Yeah, and thank you for sharing your example of Melaleuca. I mean, again, we can find companies out there who have a win-win model, and this is why the message is so important. So again, I'm talking a lot to women because this is who I like, because I am a woman and I know a lot about women, and I've done the thing of putting myself on the back burner and struggled. And I will say that, suffering is optional, struggling is optional. It sometimes doesn't feel like it's optional, and yet we do have choices. We all have choices. We make choices all the time. You said you stayed in a certain situation, and, sometimes we feel like we have no choice there, and we always have a choice. So it goes back to our patterns. It goes so much to our patterns. Again, a lot of our thinking patterns about how we're supposed to show up, how we're taught. And I'm not saying anything wrong about parents. I had great parents. Were they perfect? No. We all have, some people have harder times, have challenges, have traumas in childhood. The truth is, we learn most of the way we think and the way we operate in life, we learn at a very young age. Our beliefs are established in us, about 80% of them, by the time we're 8 years old. And so that's why a lot of us run around making decisions like 8-year-olds, because we still believe those same things. We still believe that we're supposed to be the women who go to work and and take care of the house and take care of the kids and do it all. And then we sacrifice ourselves. I can remember my mom complaining about that because my dad didn't sacrifice himself. He did work hard. I'm not saying he didn't work hard. She ran the household and she worked full time. And again, it's not making anybody right, wrong, good or bad. It's like looking at the situation saying, does that even make sense? Is that, again, knowing that women weren't honored for their job at home, that many women, when I was young, were homemakers, and it wasn't valued. This is about valuing every single person for their contribution, whatever it is in life. And it's also about interrupting those old patterns that tell us, well, that's the way we've always done it. Those are some really, a couple things I really want to say that really limit us, is thinking that this is the only, well, we've always done it this way, so this is the way we should do it now. Or thinking, I already know that. Well, I've always done it that way, and I already know how to do that. And it's being open and expansive to different ways of thinking now and changing the way we think. And it starts with basically it's retraining our brain, interrupting those patterns that don't serve us anymore. Maybe that served
Right.
our parents when they were that age. Maybe, it's like, it doesn't mean they were wrong. It just means, is it working for you right now in your life? Is it working for you right now to put yourself on the back burner and not take care of your health and not take care of your financial health or your emotional health or your physical health or your mental health? Like, is that working for you? If it's not, you can change it. There's always time to change. It's what I hear from so many women is that they're looking for balance, some kind of balance in life. And we've been taught, and I like to look at balance a little bit differently, rather than like the scale of balance, which I think is really hard. It's like it's the wheel. I think of it, our life as a balance, like different areas of your life. So maybe you're a mom, maybe you're not, maybe you're a pet owner, maybe you're a business owner, maybe you're an employee, maybe you're in a relationship, looking at all those areas of your life, including you, and saying, how do I rate myself there on this wheel right now? What does that wheel look like? And if one area is low, maybe your area of fun is low. Well, let's put some air in there. Let's figure out what you do. How do you show up? Who are you being and how you show up to change that in your life, to find that balance. So basically, so your wheel rolls well. Because I like to use the analogy of a car tire. Like if it's out of it, even if it's down air by, say you're supposed to have, I don't know, 35 pounds of pressure and it's down to 30, your car takes more gas to run. That's what happens to you when you don't have enough balance of to roll smoothly through life. You lose air, and it takes more energy to run those things in life that are important. It's okay. So that's really what I feel is my message, is to help women stop putting themselves on the back burner and start with you. Because the truth is, if you don't feel fulfilled, if you don't feel joyful, if you don't feel happy, that shows up in your life. If you're not filling your cup, what do you have to give? Are you giving from emptiness or are you giving from your overflow? It's a big difference.
Yeah. And the thing that I hear is that you may be trying to break it down and put it into perspective, but you're missing that little piece. And that's where working with someone will be able to find that piece and put it in there and help you move on, move ahead, better yourself. That's amazing. So what is the overarching problem you are trying to solve for us?
So, it has a lot to do. I work on your mind. You're helping you retrain your brain to what I know that a lot of women feel stuck, whether they feel stuck in a job or stuck in a relationship or just stuck. They're just stuck. They're not happy. They walk through life on autopilot. They're going through the motions. Maybe they even feel like they have some success, but they don't feel fulfilled about that success. What a yucky place to live. I've been there. I was very successful in my job, but I didn't feel good inside. That's no way to live. You can have it all. So it's like you can have your cake and eat it too. Just, you don't have to be the baker who only makes the bake. Have a bite of it. It's okay. So, like, I really want women to feel empowered in their lives, to feel that they can take care of themselves. They can love their life and have the energy to take care of themselves and all the things they're passionate about. It is possible. I want them to believe possibilities.
Wow. Um, so a person, say myself, what would be the steps you offer to solve, my problem, or, any problem?
So I like to use the word power, as you can tell. It's one of my favorite words. And it stands for me for and I talk about powering up to success all the time. Power up on purpose, live on purpose. Like, the power is purpose, 1 degree change, words matter, explore possibilities, and reignite your dreams, your vision, your passion, your life. And I like to start in the middle with that W, with the words matter, because our words are an extension of our thoughts. And oftentimes our thoughts don't serve us. I talked about our beliefs a little bit. We have a lot of thoughts every day. Women tend to have more than men. On average, they've averaged it out around 70,000, 60, 70,000. That's a lot of thoughts every day in 24 hours, in
Yeah.
1,440 minutes that we all have the same amount of time. And those thoughts create what our words are. And so I love to start with helping people become aware of what their internal language is so they can shift it and begin to retrain their brain and believe something different. And then getting really clear on their purpose. Why are you here? Who are you designed and created to be? It's not having kids. It's not having a job. It's not cleaning the house. It's not whatever, it's not taking care of the plants. It's not, even if you have a charity, it's not your charity. That's not why you're here. Who are you designed and created to be? It's not the doing, it's the being. Who are you being? And I love taking a deeper dive into that and then bringing in how to create change in your life, 1 degree change at a time, like the ships, like a plane. They're navigated by degrees. You get to a different place with even 1 degree in a change. Little by little, a little becomes a lot. And then the E, explore possibilities. Explore what is possible for you. You may not want to speak on a stage like I do, and yet what's possible for you in your life? Start exploring that and then reignite those dreams. That's what I love doing for people, with and for people. I don't really do it for them because I don't have anyone's answer. You talked about reaching out to people. Sometimes we as women don't want to do that because we think we should have it figured out, or we're smart enough, or, like that's going to make me look weak. I'm trying to show up like as a strong, powerful woman. No, actually, I think it makes you look stronger when you can say the areas that, okay, I'm strong in this, but this is not my strong suit over here. I'm going to get the help I need. And I will share, years ago when I went through my divorce, I was depressed, and I didn't call it that, and I didn't know that. And I'm thankful for a nurse friend who handed me the card of a counselor and said, you might want to call her, because, my brain was saying to myself, I'm a nurse. I know all about mental health and I can help myself. That's like a doctor operating on herself. Should she operate on herself? No. Get somebody who can help you. It's okay to ask for help. And I got help, and thank goodness, because, I was not in a good place. And so I say, even when I started going through my growth journey, I wasn't aware of how much I was suffering inside. I just thought that's the way life was. Isn't this the way life's supposed to be? Am I really supposed to be happy and fulfilled? I believe no, not all the time. I can tell you right now, I'm happy and fulfilled, even when challenges come up, because I know how to find my internal happiness and joy.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want to show other women how to do, is to find that for themselves. It's within you. You just sometimes need some help to find it.
Yeah. And that's a challenge for a lot of women. And I know for myself, again, I'll just use myself as an example. The family and that goes around and they're just all upset, and they want answers or whatever. And I'm just going, it is what it is. And I said to my husband last night on the phone, I said, I'm just a happy person. It'll be all right. And he goes, yeah, you are. So I try to put the calmness back into a situation, because there's nothing I can do about it except waste my breath, waste my time, waste my energy. So, how has your faith helped in your journey?
That's been a journey in and of itself. There's so many people. This isn't about religion. It's about faith. It's about, what do you believe in? It's about your faith. What helps you ignite your passion? What helps you keep motivated and keep going? What helps you what helps you be determined when you want to create something different, when you want to move into a different arena, when you want to make a change in your life? There's one thing to be motivated. There's another thing to be determined. And for me, it was all about learning how to, what I call, ground and center. get out of my head, because we spend a lot of time up here and all this thinking, and it's not always, sometimes it's like, okay, how do I get here? And I call it intuition. Like, how do I really tap into my beliefs, my intuition, the guide that's guiding me, whatever that is I believe is guiding me. And it's important that you find that for yourself. What is that? And for me, two of the biggest things is knowing how to ground and center, getting into what I call my heart space, practicing gratitude, looking around and seeing what's going right for me, what's happening for me here, even in a challenge. It's dissecting it a little bit and say, well, this isn't really happening to me. And the example I like to give, I live in South Florida. The driver's sometimes a little bit crazy here. And I used to really take that on personally, like that guy cut me off, whether it was a guy or girl, doesn't matter. Like that person cut me off. Like like they woke up that morning and said, I'm going to pull in front of Kathy Meal and piss her off today. No, like when I started like really evaluating my thoughts around that and taking control over my thoughts and what I have control over, which we don't control other people. We don't control our spouse, our kids, our significant other, our coworkers. We don't control the people out there driving. What we control is how we respond to it, whether we're going to react or respond. How do you, are you reactive? I was very reactive. Or are you slowing down, like you said, bringing some calm to it, Debbie, and saying, what's going on here? Is this me reacting to someone, or can I slow down and respond to my feelings? Can I acknowledge that I'm feeling like that person doesn't really care about me? And that may be the truth. So how can I care about me? Just shifting that. So gratitude helped me shift that, and honoring the greatness within inside of me, and then seeing the greatness in everybody else, and not judging and demeaning other people because they're not like me, seeing that they have greatness. I mean, that's really what is amazingly important for me to continue to tap into all the time, is seeing that greatness. And I call it seeing greatness with self-compassion. It's having the compassion for others and for myself. Sometimes we can be kind of mean to ourselves. Faith in my journey, my spiritual journey has really blessed me in shifting life so that I am more joyful and feeling more fulfilled all the time.
So to go to the next level, why is legacy so important?
So legacy, we're all creating our legacy all the time. And most of the time when you think legacy, you think about when somebody you love died. And I've dealt with death a lot, being a nurse. I always was fascinated with that. I took care of a lot of dying babies. I held their hands. I held their parents' hands. And I lost a close friend in 2017, a dear friend. That's why I wear teal in my hair, and my business is all about teal, because teal is the color for ovarian cancer. And when you think of, again, when people die, we often, we go to funerals and people talk about them, and, that's their legacy that you're talking about. Who were they as a person? And so we think about legacy as like past tense, and sort of, we don't think about what it's like to really create a conscious legacy. And so most of us go through life creating this legacy that someone's going to say about us when we die, without intention, without purpose. And as I've watched that and seen that and been able to empower other people to see what their life has been like while they were alive, I empower you to start thinking about what's your legacy. And, you can do some exercises like write your eulogy. What would you want people to say about you? It's hard to think about that sometimes, and it's important, because there's a big difference between creating that legacy without intention and without purpose and sort of unconsciously as you walk through life, versus being really specific and conscious and intentional on purpose with what legacy you want to leave behind. Most of us don't talk about it or think about it. So that's really what I'm all about too, is creating my legacy and helping others create their legacy with very conscious awareness, on purpose, with intention. I use all those words. They're so important. That's part of what the purpose is about. What is your purpose? Why are you here? We are all here for a reason.
That
it's
we
important
are.
for us to discover it. So that's kind of my combination of faith and legacy rolled into one.
I like that. So what are you working on currently?
I have a few projects. I always have a few. So right now, at this moment, I am a co-author in a book project. It's called Called to Speak, Lead, and Impact. It will be in print very soon, September 6th. Kathy Binner has written a chapter there. If you haven't grabbed a pre-order, you can pre-order it for 99 cents on iBooks or Amazon. Please go to iBooks first if you're an iPhone user. We're really trying to get our numbers up there. You just type in Called to Speak, Lead, and it'll come up. Again, 99 cents. This is one of those examples of win-win-win. It's 99 cents. You help support us. It goes to United Way. So you're supporting United Way, and then you get a book, and you get inspiration and get to experience other people's transformation. So that's one of my projects. I'm also speaking on stage here in Broward County in South Florida at the Broward Convention Center mid-September at Discover the Beauty Within. It's a women's conference, loving that. And then in October, I'm having my second 5-day challenge, the first week of October. And then I'll be hosting hosting a 6-week virtual group coaching coming in October called Power Up with Success. So those are the things that, there's a now and then there's the future coming up. Really excited about all that I've got going on and what I get to offer the women leaders around here to help them, again, get that balance they're seeking so that they can power up their life and dream again and start going after what's important to them.
Yeah, thank you. You don't happen to have any links that you could put into the chat window for that?
I absolutely do. Yes, I will put 2 links in there. One is my work-life balance playbook. Let me just, let me go into the chat and share that with you. And you can download that work-life balance playbook for free. And then the second link is my link tree. You can find links to the books and other things that I will be putting up there if you want to keep in touch with me. You want to message me, or you can just DM me on social media. So either, Google my name, Kathy Mealy, you'll find me. But yeah, I'd like to offer you the free gift and love for you to check out my link tree and see what's going on there.
And the book that you have behind you, what is the name of that?
That is called 7 Breakthrough Biggies. It is on Amazon. It was my first book, published in 2016, I believe. And it is all about 7 basic patterns that the subtitle is How to Conquer Everyday Life Challenges and Create Transformation. It's about 7 very common life challenges that we all have that are like fear, feeling stuck, self-sabotage. Those are some of the titles. So 7, and then it's a workbook that you can work through those fears or those challenges that you have and help you get on the other side of them.
And again, what was the title of that?
7 Breakthrough Biggies.
Breakthrough. I may just be going shopping.
All right.
I love Amazon. And
what did we do before Amazon, right?
Pardon?
What did we do before Amazon?
Oh gosh, we went to the library. And even then you couldn't get the book. And then you had a timeline where you had to have it done and get it back before you got fined. And it's like, really? Okay. I got a stack this big of books that I got to read. And I brought a couple of them with me and I'm doing quite well because I go sit at the pool and read.
Good for you. Good for you. I know when you texted me last week, you're like, I was at the pool. I'm like, oh, good for you, Debbie. Love it, love it, love it. Working from the pool. So I did post a link for the book there if you're interested in that.
Okay, great. That's awesome. There we go. This has been so informative. I can't thank you enough, Kathy, for joining us today. And does Kathy or Sally have anything they would like to share, or?
Boy, this just hit home for me, Kathy. I was married for 37 years before my husband passed away, but he was a resigned priest. And when I met him, he was a priest. So all through our lives together, it was like I had this certain like expectation of what I should be, you know, as a wife, as a person, as a mother. I mean, I have no complaints, but I always felt there was something else I should be doing.
Yeah.
I always felt that.
Yeah, it's that
And
feeling of something more. You're wanting
the
something.
feeling
more.
of something more. Yeah. I mean, I was glad to do what I did, but I worked full time. I had 2 kids, and he worked full time, and we had a house. So did things for the church, of course, because that was expected. And then he passed away in 2015. I almost hate to admit this, but because I loved him very much, but I felt free after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just me. And that's the first time I'd ever been on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, I got married in March. I got married in March, but we have a great relationship, and we don't. I mean, Kathy and Debbie know Ed, and they knew my late husband too. It's free for both of us because
Yeah.
there's no expectations. I told somebody at our grief support group, and this sounds really bad, that Ed doesn't do anything to impress me. And by doing that, he impresses me because he didn't never pretended to be somebody he wasn't. He never pretended to make me want to do things I didn't want to do. So it's very freeing.
Thank you, Sally, for being open and being vulnerable and sharing that. I think that's really important for other women to hear that and to hear your story, your brief story. And that, again, it's not, you're not making it that anybody was wrong or bad. You chose into that. And yet you didn't really feel free in that relationship. And that's okay. It's not tainting the memory to say that and to say, I felt free. And then I decided a different relationship that felt differently. So you learn from all of that. And that's what life is about. It's not to feel bad or sorry for it or downplay or make it bad, like your husband wasn't good to you. Of course, it was a great relationship, and you learned and you grew from it, so that now you get to do it differently. That's what it's about.
And my husband says this is the first time in his life he's felt like he could be himself.
How cool is that?
He's not living into anybody's expectation. I mean, he does things for me, of course, but and I feel the same way.
What an awesome, see, to me, that's a perfect example of feeling satisfied and more. You're satisfied, you're fulfilled with your relationship, like it's very fulfilling. And it doesn't mean you don't want more. This is part of life. We can feel that fulfillment and still want to grow and be the best version of ourselves each and every day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just to share, I had been married for 28 years, and I just couldn't handle the control anymore. No more. Nada. And I moved out. I separated from my husband in April of 2002. But our oldest daughter was getting married in August, and everybody said, no, you shouldn't go. It's going to be terrible. I said, no, I got to go. It's my place. And I mean, I really didn't have any communication with my husband, and I felt so much closer to God. I mean, really, it really brought it to home. And you know how when you go someplace and you get butterflies in the pit of your stomach and you're just like, ah. But the funny, strange part about it was, closer I got to Charlotte, I was at peace. And we got back together. So, and we've been together now, it's 48 years altogether. So I'm just pleased. I couldn't be happier. but he's retired. So it's like, ah, now I can see what a lot of women go through.
Yeah.
Ed's retired too, Debbie.
Both are given great examples of what what it looks like to live in the should do this, I'm supposed to do this, and then having that shift to where no, I'm gonna live what's in alignment with me. And like you said, it even brought you closer to God. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah.
And then you were able to rekindle the relationship because you let go of some of that junk that both of you were probably feeling.
Right. I agree.
Awesome.
I agree. How about you, Kathy? Other Kathy.
Yes, I just want to say congratulations to Kathy on her, first of all, on the book that she and I are both a part of, a collaborative effort. And I've read your chapter. It's amazing. I've read through the book. Oh my gosh, it's the stories are just amazing. So for all the listeners out there, you gotta click through on Kathy's link and get the book, because the stories are all amazing. And then congratulations on your upcoming speaking events and the events that you have scheduled. Gosh, you're just making such a difference, and your message is so powerful. And I too, like Sally and Debbie, I can relate to everything you're talking about. Are you sure you don't live in my closet?
I got
Because
a hole in there. No.
oh goodness, because it's like, okay, it's like when you go to church and you swear the pastor's talking directly to you, yeah, well, it's kind of like that. So so thank you, Kathy, for bringing your message. It's very powerful.
You're welcome. Thank you for
It
having
is.
me, everybody. It was great.
And,
Thank you,
and
Kathy.
Kathy and Sally both have we've shared a lot of things here today with you, and it's like we have our own private coaching session, and I appreciate that, right, Sally?
Yep.
If you look at the history of women, like again, like back in a long time ago, like women came together, even like my grandparents, like my grandmothers, they came together, they helped each other, they were in community, like the tribes, they're in community. Men do it differently. It's okay that we're in community. We need community. We need to come together and share these stories so that we don't feel like there's something wrong with us or that we're weird or, or like Sally's apologizing for that she felt free when her husband passed. It's okay. It's okay. Like, and there's probably a bunch of women who are going to love that Sally said that and go, yeah, I said it too. I never wanted to say it out loud. I was afraid I'd, get struck by lightning or something. Like, it's okay. We're entitled to those feelings. So coming to be able to share in community, I love this. I love what Kathy's created, what you're creating here, Debbie. These communities, we need more of that. This is how we women thrive. So find it, if they're not your community, find one that works, but find a community. We need to be able to come together like this and share our stories and love on one another and help one another be the best we can be.
Yep.
Amen. So before we go, I just want to mention, thank you very much for sharing everything with us today. I really look forward to the book that you and Kathy have co-authored. I've already reserved my copy. So for those of you that are going to be listening to the recording, after Kathy has shared everything with her, I feel that this was a great message. This is one that you really need to pass on to someone that in your heart, could use this message. And further, I'd like to suggest or welcome anyone that would like to come and let me interview you. Share your story with us. I'm looking for referrals, and like referrals in work. I'm looking for referrals to come and join me on Fireside Chat with Debbie Marks. I so much appreciate where this group has come from to now where, Kathy has just shared a marvelous story of her life. And she's got a great future going for her. So thank you everyone for joining us. And
Thank you, Kat, or Debbie.
thank you. And I want to, before we go again, thank you, Kathy. And thank you, Kathy Benner, my co-host, and Sally Sutter. We're all friends. We all are on the same page. So I'm going to stop recording now.
It'll be
And
amazing.
remember Facebook, I mean YouTube.